Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Chasing Rank. We are live. It is another midweek deadline. And as you can tell, this is the first time I think you guys have ever seen my solo camera on the screen. I am riding solo tonight. There's been a few things pop up for the boys. So it is just me with you going through all of our lovely dilemmas going into game week 21. So if you are keen and you are in the chat already, let me know that you are here. Let me know that everything is running smoothly. If you are watching us after the stream, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you turn on that notification bell to make sure that you don't miss the streams when they are happening. Jackie is already in. He's been putting in some serious work for us over on Twitter as well, or they've been putting on some serious work to try and get people to the streams as well, which I appreciate big time. So hopefully you're going well, Jackie, and hopefully game week 20 treated you well as well. So game week 20, another, tight turnaround. We tried to preview everything we could ahead of the weekend with a couple midweek deadlines. And as you can tell by my screen, 21,875 is the current rank for my team. What I'll do is on behalf of the boys, I'll get into fallers and ballers for everybody, and then we'll have a look at game week 21. And then we finally don't have to worry about any more midweek fixtures coming up, which is quite nice. This is the last set of midweek games for a while. We've got FA Cup at the weekend, and then we get back to it the weekend after. So no dramas whatsoever. So, yeah, if you are in the chat, let me know that you're here. And we're going to kick off fallers and ballers with our share screen. And we're going to start with Dom's team on the fallers and ballers, and that is 48 points. The reason I say we're starting off with Dom's team is because both boys did score 48 points. So hopefully you can see that on your screens. Dom, 48 points on the week, overall rank of 897,209. I'm going to say his probably main baller this week was Thiago. I think 17-pointer there was very well done, followed by Cunha and Raul Jimenez, who he's had for a couple of weeks, and Raul was gone and got him a couple of returns, which for Dom's sake is very good. He's gone and got the 9-pointer, I think, against West Ham. He got the 5-pointer against Liverpool as well. So I think he's had him for a couple of weeks, which is not bad for Dom. And I'd say his fallers is probably around the thoughts of a Hincapié, Raya, Dorgu, even an O'Reilly coming off, playing 90 minutes and losing the clean sheet at the death. And I'll leave it at that for Dom's team. We'll get into Damo, who also scored 48 points on the week. He made one transfer. He brought Gabriel in for Hincapié, which, in hindsight, he gained 8 points from his transfer. He still got a small red arrow down to 131,000 overall rank. And I'd say his ballers are probably Wirtz, Bruno, and Gabriel, with his fallers, Virgil, Voltamata, and probably Raya, I'd say, overall for a Damo. Let's get into my side because I can talk to you guys through my team a little bit. So mine was a small red arrow, I believe. I think it was about 200 spots. I think I was about 21-6 coming out of the midweek games. And I made no transfers. I rolled my transfer and 52 points on the week. My ballers, Declan Rice, Bruno Guimaraes, and Cunha. And as you might be eagle-eyed to see, Ekitike was in my starting 11. So I did actually bench Rice with the news of his injury and not really getting much positive news from Arteta throughout the week. I was a little bit concerned on, should I start Rice, shouldn't I? And I woke up on Saturday morning and I was like, God damn it, what have I done? And Rice goes and gets 2 goals and 3 bonus and DEFCON, and went, this has been the absolute, pick of the bunch for me with a Declan Rice. And I just thought, God, I've missed an absolute stinker there. And then Thiago had scored the hat-trick as well. And I thought, I am absolutely toast. And I was on a huge red arrow. And then I was praying for Ekitike, Foden, or was it Dallo, one of them to not play the day after. And I went to bed knowing that Dallo was starting. And I thought, we're not going to get this 17-pointer off the bench. And then we manage Ekatike somehow comes out with an injury pre-game and we walk away with the 17-pointer. So ballers for me, Bruno, Cunha, Rice. Ballers for me. Oh, yeah, sorry, I can zoom in a little bit. I'm on the different monitor tonight because I am streaming solo. So hopefully you can see that. Otherwise, if you can go full screen, then that will help a little bit. But 52 points, and away we go. So my ballers would be Virgil. Probably just Virgil, to be fair. Like Dallo, I would have loved a clean sheet against Leeds. Obviously, with the Ruben Amorim sacking as well, it's going to be a little bit interesting to see what happens there. I think Tarkovsky, that was a bit of a freak goal, or freak game, I should say, not a freak goal, but a freak game. So he goes and gets 14 DEFCON, and he's not someone I'm worried about with Wolves at home, Villa away, Leeds at home, Brighton and Fulham. I think Everton are going to be fine defensively. I know they conceded 4, but we'll just call that a blip in the road for them. And then we've still got the depth of Alderete. So that is where my team finished up from last week. So the purpose tonight is pretty much answering your guys' questions. So if you are here in the chat, make sure you get in the chat. We'll do a bit of a run through of the games from last week as well. And I'll go through any big talking points that I saw. This might be a little bit of a shorter stream, potentially, depending on how many comments you guys leave and how many questions you leave for me as well, just because I am by myself and I don't really have anyone to bounce off of. So if you get your questions in, I will get to them. And I think we need to just kick off with a bit of a review from last week. So Villa and Forest. So I'm hoping you guys can see that a little bit better. I'll go game by game and we'll highlight each game. 3-1 Aston Villa. They absolutely pick up where they left off with against, before the Arsenal game. McGinn gets 2 goals. Watkins gets a goal. Cash, Rogers and Tielemans all returning with a Gibbs-White nice finish there as well. Ollie Watkins is someone who I think we need to start talking about a little bit later with potentially looking out. But again, his minutes have been really, really poor, and I wouldn't be looking at anyone from Nottingham Forest. I think Rogers, he's just one of those guys, like a Bruno G, like a Rice, who just tick along. You know that if Villa are going to score 3 goals, it's likely he's going to be involved in 1 or 2 of them. He's just so integral to the way that they play. How you going, Harry? Hopefully you are doing well. He's so integral to the way they play that if you're going to own a Villa asset, it would be Morgan Rogers. And as I said before, I would not be going anywhere near anybody from Nottingham Forest. They are really struggling. Milenkovic and Murillo get DC, as does Anderson. So we spoke about that in preseason a lot. But I would not be going there. Brighton, Burnley, everyone with Verbruggen would be absolutely laughing. Clean sheet there, 7-pointer with bonus. Absolutely cheering. But again, I don't think much relevant from this game at all. Not looking at anybody to bring in from either Brighton or Burnley. I just wouldn't be doing it. Wolves, West Ham. Great to see Wolves finally pick up 3 points. We've been speaking about for months how bad Wolves are. And, West Ham really needed a result here if they were going to try and forge a way out of the relegation zone. And I just think West Ham are going to struggle just as much as well. This is really struggling. Wolves, again, I wouldn't be interested in anybody from Wolves. So let's just move through to one of the bigger games of the weekend. Arsenal-Bournemouth. Arsenal doing what they do best. They find a way to get the job done. Is the robot broken? Been taking him on a lot over Xmas and been working. I will get to that, Harry. We will get to Erling Haaland. But Arsenal and Bournemouth. So Rice, as I mentioned before, gets the 2 goals for me off my bench. But from the start was brilliant. Gabriel, DC and a goal at 42.5% effective ownership. We'll definitely talk about him when we get to the predicted points for the next 6 weeks. Timber, I saw a comment about Timber and Verge being in my team being poor. I can live with Jurriën Timber. He finished on 10 DC in the end. They concede 2 goals. I know the Arsenal defense haven't kept as many clean sheets, but I still think 2 Arsenal defenders is probably the route I want to be taking. So I would be 100% fine if you own 2 Arsenal defenders, but I think you'd want one. You wouldn't want Raya to be one of them. I think you want Gabriel and Timber as part of your back 5. That's just my personal preference. Bournemouth, if I owned a Senesi, I would be concerned. I just don't see them keeping many clean sheets, but I do see them creating a lot of chances and scoring a lot of goals. Semenyo off to Man City very, very soon as well. So I probably wouldn't be buying anyone from Bournemouth, if I was perfectly honest, unless you needed Krupi as a bench fodder striker, but I'd be going with Ashley Barnes if I needed one. And before we move on, guys, if you are new in the chat, make sure you do subscribe. It does help us out massively in being able to push the content out further to the community. Leeds and Man United, again, I don't know what we can take away from this game. The Aronson goal was a good finish, but it was a gift on a plate from the Manchester United defence. I just don't know how much we can take from this game with Darren Fletcher coming in to take over this week and sounding like for the rest of the season, it sounds like it's going to be Darren Fletcher at Manchester United. So I'm intrigued to see what the system looks like. Will he go 4-2-3-1, Bruno in the 10, Cunha on the left and Burma on the right, and then one of Xerxes or Sesko up front with, Kobe Mainu and Casemiro, or Kobe Mainu and Ugarte as his two holding midfielders, with a combination of Dorgu, Dallo, Shaw, Mazraoui. I think there's enough there for United to get the job done in a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, however he wants to play. But I will be very keen as a Dallo owner to see what happens this week against Burnley. I'm going to take the risk and I'm going to start him in my team. But that's what I'm at with Manchester United, and just sort of trying to keep an eye on the Bruno Fernandes news, because if he goes back playing in as the number 10, then he'll be back in my team very, very quickly. Leeds, again, Calvert-Lewin, two-pointer. Tough game. I think he'll be fine if you own him. He's up to 14% effective ownership, and as you can see, everyone else on the Leeds team, there's not a whole lot of ownership there because obviously Rodon is injured and didn't play. Brentford, Everton, I think this is the definition of a freak game here as well. Thiago hat-trick, Collins with a goal and assist, and no DC for once, which he got 9, which could have been a mega haul for him as well with no bonus in this game. Thiago with a hat-trick and just absolutely nullified my Rice 17-pointer as well with that 17-pointer himself. And Everton, look, I don't see them at home conceding 4 goals very often, so I think they'll be fine. Tarkovsky getting DC quite comfortably as well, which is always nice. And obviously Jack Grealish deciding to get returns when he's not in my team, which is not what we like to see. So moving on, I think Newcastle is going to be an interesting one. I think their fixtures are running out. They have actually performed really well in this period. Malik Chow, goal DC, 11% effective ownership. That 17-pointer was huge. I did have Bruno Guimaraes, and I've been bullish on him for probably 6 weeks. And he's only missed returns in 3 of those games for me, and the others have all been double-digit return. One was a 7-pointer because he only played a half, but he has been brilliant for me, and we'll talk about their defense a little bit later. Palace, we've been saying it for weeks, are absolutely cooked with the limited rotation and the amount of games that they have to play. So, Lacroix, Mitchell, Gahey all get DC, but I just would not be going near Crystal Palace assets. Spurs would not be touching them at all as well, not defensively, not attacking. Sunderland, again, I don't mind them at all defensively. I wouldn't be going for any of their forwards. And then Fulham, Liverpool, I'm not going to give you guys a huge breakdown of this game, but what a goal by Reed off the bench to steal 2 points away from my red men. Again, obviously, Ekatike not playing changes the way we have to play. No Isak, no Ekatike. He's always going to throw a curveball with what we do, but Verts and Gakpo both getting on the score sheet. It's quite nice. Frimpong is someone I'm really starting to look at as an attacking option. Obviously, no DC whatsoever from him because he's so attacking, but he's almost playing the old school Trent role where he just gets to bomb down the wing and whip balls into the box. But if I was a Fulham owner, I probably wouldn't go anyone there. Anderson, if you want, just a low ceiling, high floor type of centre-back DC monster, but I would not be too keen on that. And the final game between City and Chelsea, that Enzo Fernandez goal was incredible for me because it wiped everyone's Man City defence clean sheets, which they obviously looked hard to come by this week. If we go back through Newcastle and Brighton, and Wolves. Newcastle, Brighton, Wolves are the only teams to keep a clean sheet, and maybe it's something we need to consider when it comes to our defences because I think they are going to be hard to get all the time. Chalobah goes and gets 10 DC once again. He's actually been quite good for those returns over the last period of time as well. And I think Chelsea had quite a few chances in that second half to potentially, take the lead or at least get that equaliser a lot earlier, and they were really kicking on. And as there are a couple of comments there about Erling Haaland, can we take him on? And we'll get into him in a little bit. So that is my quick synopsis of the week's play. It obviously goes a lot quicker when I've got no one to bounce off of. So get your questions for me in the chat, guys. We are going to go straight into projections and have a chat about where everyone's at over the next 6 weeks, practically barring Erling Haaland. I think he's the only player that, and probably Isak, that don't fit this criteria. This week, I wanted to include Saka in the conversation because he's just extremely hard to read. And as we get into it, Jackie is getting nice in the comments there for me, like and sub for me as he's by himself. Thank you very much. I am slogging along by myself today, so we will get the job done. It feels like I'm just doing a YouTube video with a chat there with me, which is quite interesting. So it's like I'm doing a Gameweek review video, but just with you guys watching me do it. So Bukayo Saka, I think 10.2 million. I find it hard to tell people to buy Saka. I know he's a fantastic footballer. He's an absolute superstar of the league. He's priced at 10.2 for a reason because of what he brings to the table. But there's a good comment here by Harry. Best 3 Arsenal, Gabriel, Rice, Timber in that order. And that is exactly how I've got them as well, Harry. I think Rice, Timber, Gabriel are the big ones. I've been a big advocate for Declan Rice for the last 4 or 5 weeks. I brought him in just after I brought in Bruno Guimaraes, and I had the boys on here practically telling me not to do it. And I'm pretty sure early on I copped a blank as well. And, the boys were like, what are you doing? I think I brought him in for Wolves. I brought him in for Wolves, which was a 2-pointer. Then I got an 11-pointer against Everton, 5 against Brighton. He didn't play against Villa, which actually gave me a 9-pointer from Timber. And then I get a 17-pointer against Bournemouth. And I'm typically someone who doesn't pick these types of midfielders. I wouldn't in most seasons pick the Rices and the Bruno Guimaraes, but they're just, the fixture runs have been there. The numbers have been good enough for the price you're paying. But we also haven't had a lack of premiums like we have over the last few weeks. Over the last few seasons, where like you've been trying to fit in Salah, Haaland, Palmer, Saka, and Saka had that locked-in role, 90 minutes, right wing with penalties. And, dead balls where now that, there's a bit of conjecture around whether he's on every single penalty or not. So, and then you had the Trents, who were up at 8 million as well, and Phil Foden, so we've got a bit more money in our pockets this year with a bit less of the premiums, which is why I like Declan Rice. But he's a DC getting, set piece taking, random goal threat type of midfielder. He kind of ticks all the boxes for me, and it's a season where I'm happy to take 5 points regularly. And if he goes and gets the 17-pointer, then so be it. So if I was picking one on a wild card, I'd just be going with Declan Rice and then spending the 3 million elsewhere. Santo, in my opinion, who's the next big midfield points hauler over the next 5 weeks, just come across this video on my homepage. Just subscribe. Thank you very much, Santo. For me, over the next 5 weeks, Hub saying it's Saka. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Declan Rice. I just think he has so many routes to points. Gabriel provides another asset to attack set pieces from as well. We know Rice's delivery is brilliant, so he will be looking for Gabriel. Harry's asked the question, Gabriel captain. I just don't think we can do it against Liverpool. I know Liverpool struggle with set pieces, but I think Liverpool are going to make sure Virgil van Dijk or Kanate is going with Gabriel at every single set piece. I just can't. I don't think Gabriel scoring 3 games in a row. Do I think he's going to get DC? Probably not, because I expect Arsenal to dominate the ball at home as well. So I think this could be a 6-pointer for Gabriel, which is what I'm praying for, so that I can target him in game week 22, because I definitely need Gabriel in my side. Next up, Cunha. I don't love the fact that they don't have a manager, but I love the fact that clearly he's going to be either playing up front or off the left wing rather than in the 10. So I think Cunha could be a really good option as well. He is in my team, and I'm very, very keen to get Bruno Fernandes in the team as soon as he comes back. But the minute we see him sitting there in the number 10 position, I'd be very keen to get Bruno. Gabriel is someone who's definitely on my watch list and my radar, and he's in my plans over the next couple of weeks to bring in as I'm trying to bank up some transfers. And if you've got an opportunity, it's one of those ones where if you can make the move now, make it. I'm in a bit of a benching decision this week. If I bring Gabriel into play, the double Arsenal defenders, and I just feel like another week's worth of information is not going to hurt. If he goes and gets injured and then I've already spent the transfer on him, then I'll be pretty salty. So I'm just going to wait the week and bring him in against Forest. Semenyo, I would be hard against this move. It sounds like this Tottenham game might be his last for Bournemouth. So the minute he's a Man City asset, I do not want him anywhere near my side. I think him and Cherky are going to be fighting it out for that right wing spot with Savinho there as well. I just think there's too many players in that position at Man City. Phil Foden with Brighton, United, Wolves, Tottenham, Liverpool, Fulham, Newcastle, Leeds. Not a bad entry point at 8.8 million. I'd be honestly trying to wait a week and maybe going to get Bruno Fernandes. I think Foden, we know he's a streaky player where Bruno's going to have that higher floor, maybe lower ceiling, but I love Bruno Fernandes in fantasy. He's been in my team a lot this season, and I am very, very keen to probably bring him in hopefully around this game week 24 for Cunha. So I'll probably just ride Cunha through those 3 weeks. Again, they're not easy fixtures. Burnley's a nice fixture, but then Man City and Arsenal aren't great. But under new management, could Man United create some upsets that really start the momentum long term is what we're hoping to see. Harry's got a good question here. Rodgers or Palmer to bring in next? I mean, it depends on your team. I'm not a huge... I've got that decision to make next week for Semenyo, and I'm looking at somebody else who I'll bring up later. But, I mean, if you can afford Palmer, then he's a great option. I think he looks like he's sharp again. He is a good option. We know Cole Palmer's a very good footballer, but it's similar to Bruno. I'd want to wait and see. I want to see what it looks like with a new manager. Just be mindful of that. If you have to make the move this week, it's Rodgers for me. If you can wait 1 or 2 weeks, then it's Palmer. That's how I'd assess it. Now, Bruno G, this is the interesting one for me. I've owned him for quite a while. His fixtures run out here. Well, they don't run out, but the good fixtures finish here with Leeds at home and Wolves away. Then Villa's going to be tough. But again, that's a game where he could easily get DC and an assist or a goal. Liverpool away, similar story. Then Brentford's a good fixture. Tottenham's a good fixture. City's not great. And then Everton at home's good enough. And that's why I like Bruno G. I feel like I can just slot him in that team right next to Declan Rice every single week and not be surprised when he gets a 5-pointer, not be surprised when he gets a 2-pointer, and not be surprised when he gets a 10-pointer. He also got 11 DC at the weekend, which is frustrating because he was on 12 at the end of the game and got knocked down. And I think, him going from 12 DC to 11 DC knocked him back a bonus because he would have got the DEFCON points, which would have pushed him into 3 bonus. So it ends up costing you 3 points instead of 1 point. So that would have been nice and would have put me over my safety score and given me a small green arrow, which would have been nice. Ekatike, if you're in a position where you can bench him this week, like I am, then you gain the Burnley, Bournemouth, Newcastle, City. Those games being at home are brilliant as well. The Newcastle, City, Bournemouth are going to be without Semenyo, so that's going to be fine. Burnley's going to be fine. Sunderland away will be tough, and then Forest, West Ham. I'm more than fine hanging on to Ekatike for the long term, which is fine. Odegaard, look, if he was playing for anyone else in the league, I'd probably go there at 7.8 mil, but with Rice, Gabriel, Timber, Saka, those 4 are ahead for me over Odegaard, so I would not be going there. But his minutes are looking a lot better, which is good. And if you are new here, I can see the chat has a few people. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Get in the comments, guys. Ask me your benching dilemmas, your captaincy dilemmas, your team dilemmas. Let me know what questions you have because I will get to them once we've gone through the bottom end of our predictions over the next few weeks and sort of transfer targets and advice. And then we're just going to open the floor up to Q&As and I'll go through what my team's looking like and where I'm sort of structured up going into game week 21. Mateta, I just would not go here at all. Crystal Palace not looking great. They got European football coming back as well. I just avoid Crystal Palace at all costs. Thiago, if I was to buy a forward, it would be Thiago, but I don't love buying a forward. Let me know in the comments if you are keen on potentially playing a 4-5-1 almost, or a 5-4-1 because the forwards have been struggling. Now, Enzo, this is who I'm looking at bringing in next week for Semenyo. I think if a good manager can just come in and figure out a way to get him and Palmer playing your sort of dual 10s, then this Chelsea team could be incredible. If you can get Reece James inverting from right back to sit with the Caicedo and create that block in the middle and allow Enzo to be freed up and attack this fixture run, you get Fulham, Brentford, Palace, West Ham, Wolves, Leeds, Burnley, and a lot of those good fixtures are at home as well. So I'm very, very keen on Enzo Fernandez. Cherky, I don't know how I feel about Cherky. I feel like he's going to be very streaky. I think there's players coming into this side that are going to take minutes, whether it be from the start or not, like Semenyo. I think, you want your players on the pitch, and he's not someone who's typically going to be on the pitch every single game. 6.8 million, though, I could definitely understand why people want to own him. Urian Timber, I like a lot. I think the clean sheets will be there as Arsenal get their main defence back. Calafiori should be back. Gabriel's back. Saliba's back. Timber's back. I think they're just going to absolutely run riot through this middle part of the season and run away with the league. Malik Chow, someone I don't mind. Short term, definitely love it. Leeds, Wolves, Villa, and then even that Brentford game at home. But other than that, I don't know. Newcastle, I'm a bit iffy with Newcastle. They're home. If you can find a rotation where you can play them in the home games and bench them in the away games, barring the Wolves game, then I like it a lot more. If you're getting Leeds, Wolves, maybe not Villa and Liverpool, but you get Brentford, Tottenham, and Everton out of that rotation, and you've got someone who rotates well with him, I would do that. And then I think we're getting into areas that I don't particularly want to talk about. So, should we get into some questions? I think we should, and then I'll get into my team. So let's get into some questions. There's a few here as well. From Brazilian Skill, would you play Virgil or Ekatike? When should we get press conference news? I expect we play Friday morning or Thursday night, depending where you're watching this. You might not get press conference news before the deadline. So the deadline is, for me, overnight. So press conferences are happening today, but I think they're more for the Thursday games. So we might not get press conference news. If I had to play one of Virgil or Ekatike, I mean, I'd start Ekatike and have Virgil then as your first sub. Ekatike won't go and be a sub. He's either starting or he's not going at all. So that's how I'd probably look at the situation there. I don't love it though. And you'll see why in my team very, very soon. Play one of Dallo, Mukiel, or Bowen. So Bowen plays Forest at home. Dallo or Mukiel. Sunderland play Brentford away. I'll probably back Bowen in there, Harry. I think if West Ham are going to try and survive this relegation battle, then I think they need to start picking up some points. And if West Ham are going to pick up points, it's probably going to be off the boot of Paquetá and Bowen. So that's where I'd be going with those questions. Let's jump over back to Fantasy Football Hub because I'll go through my team this way with you guys because I'll give you a bit more than I normally do on this stream. So let's share this screen instead. And share screen, my team share. All right, let me know if you can see that well enough, guys, as well. So this is my current 11 going into the game week. So hopefully that's not too small. There we go. So my team as it reads is Raya in goal with Tarkowski, Timber, Dallo, Alderete, Cunha, Rice, Semenyo, Foden, Bruno, Haaland. That is my current team. I'm benching Ekatike and Virgil Brazilian. So I've got no intention of playing them whatsoever. And then obviously Mark Guiu as my third on the bench, who will not get any minutes for Chelsea because he is a dead end 4.3 mil. I'm more than fine running that team this week. Dallo is fine because he's obviously known as Rowie. I think he'll be okay. I think Dallo's the kind of footballer, like he should be at left back ahead of a Luke Shaw and a Dorgu in a 4 anyway. So I don't expect Dallo to come out of the team. But, you know, after this week, I don't actually see myself having to play Dallo anyway. He's probably just going to be a bench option for me onto a wild card. I do have Raya in goal though, and this is where we're going to get talking about what we're going to do long term because I've got 2 free transfers. I could make the Gabriel move for Virgil this week if I really want to, but that obviously requires me to remove Raya, so it makes me use both my transfers. And I don't particularly want to use all my transfers in one hit again, like I've done the last couple of weeks. So I'd rather just roll and have 3 up my sleeve. I mean, it's kind of a bit of bias there because if I go to next week, the team rating's 99, the game week rating's 96, and we're going to Gabriel Timber. But what we've done is Roos comes in for Raya, Gabriel comes in for Van Dijk, and at this stage, I've got Enzo Fernandez coming in for Semenyo. And then again, leaving me with 0 transfers, but it leaves me in a position where I've got Tarkovsky on the bench in case something goes wrong, or Dallo against City at home, which I don't love. But again, he's a playing option. So I'm looking to do that. Harry took Raya out for Pickford 4 weeks ago and haven't looked back. I agree. I think you want the 3 Arsenal assets on the field rather than in goal, which is why, look, Roofs for me, I'm very happy to own Roofs. Palace at home, they'll be fine. West Ham away, Burnley at home. And then I think I can dodge that with Dubravka, and then it's Liverpool and Fulham both at home. And we know Sunderland are a very good defence at home. You'll notice there's 1.2 million in the bank there. My idea is to roll for a couple of weeks and then make that move, obviously funds permitting. Worst case scenario, I then have to make transfers to make that happen. And again, if I don't like that fixture for for Dallo, I'll bring in Tarkovsky, worst case scenario for Fulham away. So that's sort of the structure of where my side's at the moment. So that's game week 21 with plenty in the tank there. Game week 22, leaving us at a 96. And then game week 23 at a 96. And then 24 at a 95. And if I just click my way through 96, then we optimize here and we get ourselves a 93 and 26, 27. We're just banking up those transfers once again. So without going into too much detail about who's playing who and all the other matchups and things, I think the team's going to end up in a spot where I'm pretty happy with it. So that's where my side is at the moment. So, rank sitting there in at 21,875. Hopefully this week I can get it up and firing inside the top 15K. Ideally, I don't have heaps of differentials. Like Dallo's 4% owned, Alderete 6% owned. What's Cunha? Cunha's 13, Bruno's 18, Rice is 23. So there's probably enough guys there where if they all pop off at the same time, that's going to shoot the rank up. But it's obviously dependent on what the guys who are most owned are going to do as well. So let me know what you guys think of my setup and structure in the comments as well. Get your last questions, comments. If you want me to look at your teams, link them to me over on Twitter. I can bring them up and have a bit of a look. Now we're sort of in that Q&A section. We've gone for 34 minutes of me just rambling data and thoughts and strategy to you guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments as well. I will share my screen of my team if you want to critique my team or what I'm doing with my team. But I think the thought process is there to sort me out. Team looks good. Just keep a situation. Yeah, I just can't do much with it this week, Harry, because I don't want to bench any of these guys. That's the kicker is I don't want to bench any of my defenders. I want to play Alderete, I want to play Tarkovsky, and I want to play Dallo, and I want to play my 5 in the midfield. So if I go and get rid of Virgil for Gabriel this week, then I have to make a call on who I'm going to play. Sorry, I was absolutely desperate for a swipe of water there. So that's kind of where my structure and teams at there, gents. So if you've got any questions in the chat, now is the time. If you're looking at making any last minute transfers, get them in the chat. Let me know your benching dilemmas. I am happy to answer as many questions as we can get in. I played my wild card in 19. So rolling the 3, that sounds like a good plan to me, Jackie, as well. If I could, I'm getting myself the 3 transfers as well. But obviously using them all next week. But then hopefully I can start accumulating a bank of transfers. I've got absolutely no idea when I'm going to wild card either. I have not even thought about my 4 chips. Bench boost, I'd want to keep for blanks and doubles. Same with the triple captain, same with the free hits. So I think that's where we're at. Harry, Haaland, Cap. I mean, Brighton have not, I know they kept a clean sheet, but against Burnley. I expect goals. I expect City to want to bounce back and put some pressure on Arsenal as well. And if that's going to happen, I think Erling goes absolutely nuclear in this next 3 games. Brighton, United, and Wolves. I think he is 100% the best captain. I don't even want to talk about captains because he's by far the best captain. And at my rank of 21,000, I'm not in a position right now where I need to take any risks. If this was game week 30 or 31 or 32 and I was sitting at 20,000, then I'd start looking, do I go to Foden maybe and try and just cover the fixture, and Haaland blanks and Foden gets the hat trick and that just shoots you right up the ranks. Then I could do that later in the season. But because we've still got, what are we, game week 21, we've still got, 18 weeks left or 17 weeks left. So I'm in no rush to chase the rank, no pun intended there, too hard. So that's where I'm at with that at the moment. So if you guys don't have many more questions for me, guys, we might leave it there. I did say it would be a shorter stream. Obviously, me being by myself makes it a little bit hard to bounce ideas off people when they're not here. So I appreciate you guys coming to join me on a Tuesday night as always. Let me know in the comments. We just need the rest of City 4 players to make the right decisions this game week. That would be nice, Colm, if City could find ways to get Haaland involved. We did see him miss a chance off of a Foden assist, which would have been brilliant for us this week as well. But with that being said, I think that is where we are going to leave it. Thank you to everybody that has come through tonight. Make sure on your way out that you do like, comment, and subscribe because it does help push the content out as well. Turkey and Haaland going to run riot. I think they're all going to run riot, Harry. I think City need to start putting pressure back onto Arsenal because right now Arsenal are running away with the league. And as a Liverpool fan, I would love us to go and get a result there, but that'd obviously kill my double Arsenal clean sheets. I am conflicted this week because with my rank sitting at 21,000, I do want to maintain a good rank, but that is where we'll leave it. Just under 40 minutes on the clock. Leave a like if you think I've done well tonight to run the ship for 40 minutes by myself, and I will see you guys hopefully with my co-host next week on another Tuesday night of Chasing Rank.